Okay, today we're starting our chapter on dividing fractions. We're doing lesson 8.1. We start on page 339. Our question is, how do you divide a whole number by a fraction and divide a fraction by a whole number? Okay, here's a little hint. You can use the relationship between multiplication and division to explain and check your solution. Mia walks a 2-mile fitness trail. She stops to exercise every 1/5 mile. How many times does Mia stop to exercise? Divide the number line into fifths. So between 0 and 1 there are 5 spaces. Then between 1 and 2 there are 5 spaces. Label each fifth on the number line. So take your pencil and label it. This is 1/5. Let's put it below so we can use the top later. 1/5, 2/5. You should be labeling your number line. 3/5, 4/5. 1 is 5/5, right? 1 and 1/5. 1 and 2/5. 1 and 3/5. 1 and 4/5. And then we're going to be at 2, which would be, if we were labeling in fifths, would be 1 and 5/5. Or how many fifths? How many fifths is 5 and 1/5?
6/5.
6/5. 1 and 2/5?
7/5.
1 and 3/5?
8/5.
Oops, went the wrong denominator there. 1 and 4/5 is 9/5, and 2 would be 10/5, right? Okay. To skip count by fifths from 0 to 2 to find 2 divided into by fifths. So we had 2 from 0 to 2. So we have 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5, 6/5, 8/5, 9/5, and 10/5. If we label those, each of our little humps, when we label this last one, we would have 10. Skip count the fifths from 0 to 2 to find 2 divided by 1/5. There are how many 1/5?
10.
10. Record and check the quotient. 2 divided by 1/5 is, what was it? Right here. 10, because 10 times 1/5 is equal to 2. And you see that? When we did multiply times 1/5, remember we put our 10 over 1? 10 times 1 would be 10. 1 times 1 would 5 would be 5. How many 5s in 10? 2. That's how you can check, like our little blue box said. So Mia stops to exercise how many times? 10 times. Here's another investigate. Roger has, this is B on page 339. Roger has 2 yards of string. He cuts the string into pieces that are 1/3 yard long. How many pieces of string does Roger have? So you should take your 1 fraction strips labeled with a 1, that would be 1 whole, and put them together. Now he's going to cut it into 1/3 pieces. So take your thirds and lay them under there. How many thirds should we have to put under here?
6.
6. Very good. Even my board is behaving pretty good. I probably shouldn't say anything. Okay, now we have our 1/3 pieces under there. It says drag enough 1/3 strips to fit exactly in the 2 holes. There are blank 1/3 size pieces in 2 holes. How many?
6.
6. Record and check the quotient. 2 divided by 1/3 is 6. Because 6 times 1/3 is 2, right? If we multiplied 6 times 1/3, 6 times 1 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 goes into 6 2 times. So, Roger has how many pieces of string? 6. Okay, we are now flipped over to page 340, and we're doing the draw conclusion. Remember how our first little blue box said you could use multiplication to help you check your division or inverse operations. It says, when you divide a whole number by a fraction, how does the quotient compare to the dividend? How does the quotient compare to the dividend? The quotient is greater than the dividend. So when you divide a whole number, let's just write something. 5 divided by a whole number by a fraction. Let's divide this by 1/5. Okay. How does the quotient compare to the dividend? What would I get here? If I had 5 and I divided it into fifths, I'll get 25, right? There would be 25 fifths in 5. So the quotient is greater than the dividend. When I divide a whole number by a fraction, I'm finding a number of parts it takes to make up each whole. Our next question is, explain how knowing the number of fifths in 1 can help you find the number of fifths in 2. Explain how knowing the number of fifths in 1 can help you find the number of fifths in 2. How could that help us? If we knew how many were in 1, how would that help us know how many were in 2?
Because if you know how many are in 1, all you have to do is double that.
Double that or multiply it by 2. So if I know that the number of fifths in, if I know the number of fifths in 1, I can multiply that number by 2 to find the number of fifths in 2. Okay, let's look at number 3. It says, describe how you would find 4 divided by 1/5. Okay, that little angled line, that little backslash can mean 1/5. Since I know there are 5 fifths in 1, I can multiply 4 by 5 to find the number of fifths in 4. So 4 times 5 is 20. Four times 5 is 20, so 4 divided by 1/5 equals 20. Okay, now we're on the make a connection, and our problem is says you can use fraction steps to divide a fraction by a whole number, which we already did on the other page. But Kalia shares half a package of clay equally among herself and each of 2 friends. What fraction of the whole package of clay will each friend get? Herself and 2 friends. So what are we dividing it into?
3.
3, or thirds. So use fraction strips to divide a fraction by a whole number. Place a 1/2 strip under your 1 whole. Show the 1/2 package of clay. So the 1/2 package. Now, we're going to need to divide that 1/2 into 3. Step 2, find 3 fraction strips, all with the same denominator that fit exactly under the 1/2 strip. Drag them. Okay, are the fifths going to work?
No.
No, they're too big, aren't they? So 1/6 fraction strips fit under there. Each piece is blank of a whole. 1/6 of a whole. Record and check the quotient. 1/2 divided by 3 is what?
1/6.
1/6. Because 1/6 times 3 equals 1/2, right? We would say 3 times 1 is 3, and 3/6 is 1/2. So each friend gets 1/6 of the whole package of clay. Let's go on and look at this first share and show. It says divide and check the quotient. 3 divided into 1/3. How many 1/3 fraction strips do we have? 3, 6, 9. So 3 divided by 1/3 gives us 9, because 9 times 1/3 is 3. Can you guys see that? Do I need to write it out and do the problem?
We can see it.
Can see it. Okay. Let's see what they give us next, since we have shared. This is our the number 2, I believe. It says 3 divided into 1 by 1/6. So we can count our little things here. And how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would have 6 here also and 6 here. So 3 times 6 is 18. Because 18 times 1/6 is 3. Let's see what we should think. It says, what label should I write for each of my tick marks? What should we have written? 1/6. Okay? All right. Thank you for watching today.